Avengers, The Age of Ultron, or Avengers 2, depending on what you want to go by. But yeah, 2015 has been is a really good year for films this year, especially for fandom related films. A lot of sequels or continuations are coming out this year, and so there's a lot of variation over what's the most anticipated film of the year. But for me, this was my most anticipated film of the year. I am a massive Marvel fan, ridiculously big Marvel fan, to the point that I am now making my flatmates sit and watch all the Marvel films from the Marvel universe in chronological order for the universe itself, not the release date, but the year, but the order the films should be in, kind of thing, because they told me they haven't seen them. And I think that's good. I'm really looking forward to this, and it did not disappoint at all. It has been by far my favourite film of the year so far, and I have a feeling it's going to take a lot to replace really this film as in my best film of the year. I just think it was so good for so many reasons. First thing I really loved about this film is just the effects, and I just think it was leaps beyond anything I've seen before. Especially the if you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. But there's an end fight scene, not really spoilers, but there's a fight scene going on, and they're in the church bit, and just everybody is there at once using all their powers, and it is just phenomenal. And it's one of the first films I've seen where it didn't feel like they were throwing visual effects in because the film was 3D. It felt like they were using the 3D to harness the visual effects they were using. And it just felt so different. And it was, for some points, I was just looking at it and I completely forgot anything else that was going on. I was just in awe of what I was seeing. The quality was that good. I would definitely recommend to anyone that still hasn't seen this and wants to go and see it in 3D. It's worth the extra money because of just the effects and the way they harness the 3D to their advantage. I just think it was fantastic. Next reason why I loved it so much is just because I loved the way most of the characters developed. I know there's been quite some controversy about the bad representation of some of the characters, and I'm not really gonna get into that. But I just feel like it was nice to get some backstory. I feel like we finally got some backstory for all of the characters, especially the more minor 3 characters on the team, like Hawkeye, Black Widow, and the Hulk. I don't actually mean minors in the sense of the best and worst characters. That's completely up to everyone's opinion. I just meant in the sense the smaller characters, the characters that haven't really had their own films, like Iron Man, Thor, and obviously Captain America have had a lot of their own films in their own right, and so almost like a little mini franchise themselves, whereas Black Widow and Hawkeye obviously haven't had their own films, which I think is a shame, especially for Black Widow, because I think that'd be an amazing film. Fingers crossed it actually happens. There's been rumours, I don't know how true it is. And then also the Hulk, even though there's been one of the films for the Hulk within this universe, it wasn't Mark Ruffalo, and I personally think it was quite a weak film. And so they're kind of minor characters, but they had a lot more attention and spotlight put on them this time around, and I really liked that. And I liked the backstory and the development, and it started to get a bit deep, I felt, with the characters. It wasn't just like a normal action film, there was actually some substance and plot to it, and I really enjoyed it. Despite what everyone else thinks, I did really enjoy the film. I liked the representation of the characters. I liked where things were going. I feel like some of the stuff was still thrown in, obviously, for blockbuster type thing, but it's a massive blockbuster film. And so the bits that, I didn't dislike the bits they threw in, but I could tell what bits they threw in just to, get some sales and some more fandom interest. But some of the other stuff I thought was really good. I just thought the film was fantastic. I love now how Marvel's become such a franchise in the universe that characters that barely were in it, there was a lot of cameo roles from characters from other films. I love the crossovers they have now. I just think that's fantastic. I love the way it's building, and it just feels like such a sort of family type thing as in the actual company itself, and I really like that. I love, as you probably know, I love franchises and films where I feel like even the little details are paid attention to. It makes me really happy. It makes me feel like the people that are making the films care about what they're doing. So that's the second reason why I love it. I just feel like it was made really well in that sort of sense. Third reason I thought it was a fantastic film was just the action side of it. I just feel like it was really fast paced and moved along. I don't feel like any of it really dragged at all. I might be slightly biased because of my love for Marvel and most of the cast in it and the characters, and just I loved the whole everything about it. But I did not find myself getting bored at any point at all. I loved every single bit. It did what Marvel did best. It made me laugh, even though there was some really intense action scenes going on. There were still moments of comedy running the whole way throughout, especially from Hawkeye, who's slowly becoming one of my favourite Avengers, which I did not realise was going to happen until I watched this film. I just thought he was phenomenal in it. Really changed my mind on him as a character. But just in general, I just really liked the sort of the comedy put in with the fast-paced action. There was actually some moments towards the end of the film I actually felt quite sad and felt like I was going to cry, which is rare for me for a Marvel film. And I just felt everything was really quick, and towards the end you were getting to points that there was things that I've never even seen before, I couldn't even predict were going to happen. Towards the beginning, some of it was slightly predictable, but still really enjoyable to watch, and fast paced and well shot and well acted, and the dialogue was fast and snappy, and you could really get a sense of sort of a team cohesion between them all and the way they were interplaying, and they appeared a lot more comfortable with each other, as they should have. A synopsis for the film for anyone who doesn't know what it's about yet or hasn't seen it still, which I kind of think is hard to believe at this point, but hey, if you haven't and you want to know the synopsis for it, it sort of picks up where they're all now kind of a team. So S.H.I.E.L.D. has been gone from last Marvel films, it's kind of disappeared, and the Avengers is like a real initiative now. So they're all a team, they're really working together, and they're looking to relocate Loki's spear staff thing from the first Avengers film. So yeah, that's kind of picks up, and they're hunting for it, and they really bonded their craft as a team. Not only in combat and fighting, they all know each other's strengths and weaknesses now. They feel a lot more comfortable with each other, and they're a lot more caring. I just really like where it was going, and then it kind of progressed that they kind of want to get to the point where they can sort of disband the Avengers initiative and have just permanent safety for the world. It's kind of the end goal, and Tony Stark basically is trying to create artificial intelligence instead of artificial consciousness, which is what Jarvis is. He wants to create machines and beings that think for themselves. Machines that think for themselves. However, while making this machine and achieving this artificial intelligence, he kind of informs it that its task and its mission in life is to protect humanity at all costs. And obviously the biggest threat to humanity is humanity itself. So you can kind of see where this is going. It's quite a plot that's been used quite a lot in that sense, but it's the rest of it that sort of fills it out. But I don't want to say much more because I don't want to give any spoilers away. Though I did love the addition of the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and how they got round that, because obviously they can't really go into sort of mutants and X-Men territory because Marvel, Disney, Avengers type thing doesn't own X-Men, so they had to find another way to get them in and other things to cause them and where their power was sourced from and things like that. But I thought they were both brilliant. The great additions to the film. Also quite funny, quite heartwarming characters. I warmed to them really quickly. They didn't feel out of place within the Avengers itself, and the team is really starting to build now and expand, and we're getting more comic book characters thrown in, and it was really good. The snippets of it, I loved the cosy moments between the team as much as I liked the massive action sequences. Like, they're all hanging around after a party and they're all having a bit of a drink and they're all trying to lift Thor's hammer and trying to prove that they're worthy, and it's kind of like a display of masculinity, and it's really funny, and they're sort of just bantering against each other, I guess you could say. And obviously Black Widow, being as cool as she is, doesn't want to get involved as much, but she's also enjoying it, and like they're wearing each other's jackets. It's really lovely. I really enjoyed it. I can't find a single fault with the film at all, which is really rare for me because I can always find fault in films, but I can't find one thing wrong with it. There's literally nothing I would have changed about it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, as I've stated quite a lot, and so I am going to give it a 10 out of 10. Just for entertainment value alone, it deserves that. And then the artistic way it was made, I think it was such a wonderful film for so many reasons. I've stated only a few. You can tell I absolutely love this film. It was easily deserved a most anticipated film. I wasn't wrong at all in what I knew I was going to love it, and then I loved it. My expectations were met and then improved upon. It was just so good. I recommend it to anybody. If you're into superhero films, Marvel films, if you just want to watch a really good film and you don't care about anything else, just go and see it. So if you haven't seen other Marvel films before, I will say you might not get it as much. It's not one where you would need to have seen them to know what's going on, but there's certain elements and aspects. It's really beginning to tie together now, the Marvel universe. Even Guardians of the Galaxy has been brought in really nicely, and so they're all connecting now. And I feel like if you haven't seen the others, maybe watch them first, just because I feel like it would have been it was a more enjoyable film because I'd seen the 10 films before it. However, if you're not really that bothered and you just want to see a good film from where it was made, go for it anyway. I would still recommend it. I think you can tell by now how much I love this film. There's nothing else I can really say without repeating myself, and I've already been repeating myself. Yeah, just fantastic, an easy 10 out of 10.